What's up, YouTube? And hi, welcome to this rendition of Gods Unchained Market Watch. I'm your host, Juju, and today we'll be going over all of the notable Gods Unchained market movements this week. So, what's up, everyone? Been a while. Hi, I took a quick little break because a friend was visiting from out of town, wanted to go ahead and, focus on entertaining that guest. So, the content creation kind of took a back seat. Also, bought a house. Not too bad. Yeah. Used some of my NFT money to basically cover some of the closing costs. So that's always good. So yeah, it's always nice to be able to do that from like investments that you make. So big things happening this month for me. And that's why I kind of took a break. Anyways, but it was only a short break. 2 weeks. I still played Gods Unchained, so I'm still in touch with the meta. Obviously, Dralamar got nerfed, which is great. It's still a great card, so that's cool to see. I think the change from 6 mana to 7 mana was really good in a way where now they have to last 9 turns instead of 7, which is nice, so great job on them. On the game devs, as far as top decks right now, Zoolight's pretty top. There also was a board wipe death deck that finished in the top 10 this week for the weekend ranked, which is nice. Aggro Magic is still a thing, and other decks are still viable as well. We're only a couple weeks into the new metagame, so there are going to be new developments happening each and every week. So it's really important that we stay in tune with the meta in order to kind of track these market movements, right? So on top of that, new core cards. No, not core. The new set was just announced, right? So we have that coming up soon. Some of the cards were leaked, and I'm excited to go over them with y'all in this channel. But today we're just going to be focusing on Market Watch. So without any further ado, God, talking is hard. It's been a while. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the cards. So first up, I just want to say with Death, there wasn't really anything to report on. This is both good and bad. Actually, no, this is honestly when I look at it, I see a buying opportunity. No activity with Death. Everyone's focusing on Aggro Magic, Light. This is a great time to buy some key Death cards. So I'm not going to talk about Board Wipe Death because those are cards that are very good and very strong. I'm going to talk about some underrated death cards that I see and could possibly have a place in the next metagame. First up is Demonic Offering. This is your 3 mana spell, destroy target friendly creature, summon 2 random randoms, they gain the tribe Nether. This card is pretty good in aggro death decks, which we haven't seen in a while, but honestly, for the cost of 1 creature, which could be something that's already dying, or it could be a zombie, or some people combo this card with Unexpected Chicken, right? The 1 mana 2/2 that summons another egg with a 2/2? No, that can't be right. It's a 1 mana 1/1 summons an egg that summons a 2/2. There we go. Anyways, use that card on the chicken. Summon 2 anims for the cost of pretty much 4 mana. That's pretty good. And you replace itself because it summons an egg that also summons a 2/2, which is pretty nice. Anyways, card is good. I think it's underpriced right now. If you're willing to take the risk on the card, it's not too bad. It's not a bad long hold as well because this card is going to be good in certain metas depending on how the devs want to approach the death class. So not financial advice, of course, but this is something that I see. The other card that I think is underrated is Nefru's Kopesh. And some people are saying, why is it underrated? Well, I mean, it's been hovering at this like 30, 40 price point for a while. But honestly, the card is pretty broken. If you've played it in Board Wipe Death, you know how it can revive a Siren of the Grave. It can revive a Fanatic of Kanoom if it's the only thing in your hand. It can revive a Burrowing Scarab. But on the flip side of things, it can revive a Hippocra's monster because it has 0 attack, and that's pretty strong for, a 9 mana card, a 4 mana card that can revive a 9 mana creature, right? On top of that, there's also a use case for using this card with Ares Peacemaker. That's the 4 mana 0/7 that when the Peacemaker stays alive at the start of your turn, you destroy all creatures. So you can pretty much have an infinite board clear with this card. Anyways, that's something. Those are 2 cards that I see that are undervalued with the Death class. I'm only doing this because there's nothing really to report with the class right now. I went through all the cards and I didn't see any notable buyouts, but for the most part, if you're looking into some cards to buy within the Death class, I recommend these 2. But honestly, there are a lot of cards in the Death class that are really good. So these are only just 2 out of the handful. Cool. So moving on to Deception cards real quick. First up, we have Elixir of the Snake. This is your 6 mana. Each creature gets 3/3. Oh no, +3, -3. Sorry, I can't read. So this card can be very good as an AoE and can be a finisher as well. You would probably play this as an AoE. 6 mana, give -3 to each creature is pretty nice. -3 health to each creature is pretty nice. But it can also serve as a finisher for your stronger cards, and that could be really good. So I would keep an eye out on this card. It's been on the slight uptick. Right now, the cheapest you can get it at is $15. So yeah, I'd watch out for this. But it looks like it's hitting a resistance level here, and there are a couple of walls set up. Main one at $16.93. But I would watch out for it just in case you see any price movement. Next up, we have a Real Man. This is your 1 mana creature. Cannot attack, roar, hide a friendly creature for 1 turn, afterlife, draw a card. Okay, so I like this card for a couple reasons. One, you get to give hidden to a friendly creature, which is nice. It can serve as a sort of way to protect a really important creature like a Shadewalker or maybe something else. It has an afterlife where you draw a card. However, it can attack. So your opponent has to pretty much dedicate or want to kill this creature for you to activate its effect. And that's not very reliable. This can combo with Snake of Elixir of the Snake, or whatever that card we just looked at. So that could be a possibility. However, Elixir of the Snake is 6 mana, so you have to wait 7 mana. You have to wait 7 turns before you actually play. You can reap the benefits of a Real Man if you play a Real Man on turn 1. Anyways, it's a decent card at best. I do think the buyout was a little excessive. Let's see what the actual price is. Yeah, 37 copies are bought at an average price of $243. Right now, the highest you can buy it at is $291, or the cheapest you can buy it at is $291. Will this buyout have any sustenance? I don't know. It's also a Genesis card, so it might have something going for it. Only time will tell, really. Cool. Next up, we have our light cards. So, CERN the Moderator has seen an uptick. Honestly, this is because of aggro light. Pretty much the popularity of the deck right now. The cheapest you can find this at is $28.76 at the time of filming, and it peaked around $30 on April 4th. Next up, we have Imperium Pacifist. This is also a card that's seen a lot more play due to aggro light. It's a 1 mana 1/1 Aether backline. After you summon a creature, give +1 health to this creature. At the end of your turn, give frontline to this creature if it has 10 health or more. So, I like this card in aggro light. I think it's one of those cards where if it's left unchecked, it's going to pose as a really big problem for your opponent, which is good, right? So that's something you want to see. You see the price peak at $360, and the cheapest you can find this at right now is $347. Cool. So moving on to our Magic cards, we have Archimedes' Mirror up first. So with Archimedes Mirror, we do see a little bit of a buyout. It dipped all the way to, let's see, it dipped all the way to $47. Wow, that's a big dip. And it peaked all the way to $92.96. Right now it's at the $83.87 price point. We'll see if this holds. Honestly, this is a pretty interesting card in terms of design. 6 mana, so you have to wait 7 turns to play, but any damage taken by this creature is also applied to each enemy creature, which is kind of nice. So you summon the card. It serves as an AoE effect if you can deal damage to it. So a situation you can do is you summon the Archimedes Mirror. Maybe next turn you attack it into one of your opponent's creatures, or maybe you ping the Archimedes Mirror to deal 1 damage of AoE to each creature. So that's pretty interesting in terms of design. Do I think it might be way too slow for this meta, but honestly, I've seen decks make this card work, so I wouldn't be surprised if it saw some play in the meta this time around. Oh, one thing about Archimedes Mirror too, it's a really good counter against the Aether bugs, Aether Snap. Like, the bugs will ping the mirror, and the mirror will pretty much deal damage to the bugs. Even if they have ward, they're still going to deal more damage anyways, so it's actually a pretty good card against Aether Snap. Cool. Next up we have our old friend Dralamar, Breaker of Crystals. Good old Drally. So he is now 7 mana, not 6 mana. But, I mean, the effect is still good. Obviously, the price has gone down because of a lot of different different things. 1, the nerf, but 2, I mean, it's a core set card, right? So a lot of people are going to slowly get access to this card, and the demand will slowly go down for it. So that's something I wanted to cover. But honestly, I think the devs did a really good job nerfing the card. If it becomes even more of a problem, they have the opportunity to shut it down, which is nice. Okay. Archimea, Arithmancer. 5 mana, 3/5, ward. After you cast a spell that costs 3 or less, refresh 1 mana. Alright. I usually don't do this on the channel, but I kind of want to do it just because. But we've been following Archimea for a while now, and I just wanted to, just put it in there that I told you so. Like we've been picking on the card for a while. We knew Miracle Magic was going to be good, and for those of y'all who bought in, great, congratulations, you pretty much doubled your money. It was, what was it? It's $30 now, but where was it before? It was at 15. Yeah, I think I released the Miracle Magic video like around, I don't know, it had to be like a month ago. But anyways, if y'all want to check that out, look at one of the deck profiles that I made. It's called Miracle Magic. But essentially, this card replaces Dralamar now, and it's a good card. It's a 5 mana 3/5 with ward. Stats are a little bit understated, but as far as the ward go, at least it won't be vulnerable to a single spell, which is nice. And there are a lot of ways to basically go infinite with this card, right? You essentially need a discounted card that you can get via Dimension Door, Form of Power, or no, not Form of Power, Form of Wisdom. You can get a discounted rune from Corralis Rune Moth. And every time you play one of those discounted cards that costs 0, you're essentially gaining a mana. And I mean, you can have some ridiculous plays. Like you play the Helpful Aether Fox, discount the Aether Snap, play Archimea, play the Aether Snap, and pretty much go infinite with whatever. And it doesn't even have to be an Aether Snap to benefit with the effect, right? You can do Monolith of Storms. You can do Runic Familiar. You can also do the newly buffed 5 mana 5/5 that gains 1/1 after every spell you play. So there's a lot of combinations that you can use with this card, and yeah, it's pretty good. So congrats if y'all bought in. We totally we saw this coming from a mile away, and that's pretty much it. And we do this for a lot of cards in the channel, so if you're just tuning in or if you're just watching, there are going to be more opportunities like this in the future. We just have to keep an eye on it. Anyways, not financial advice. I'm just a guy who plays card games and is really passionate about, teaching players and making sure that everyone's having fun within the game. So that's just me. If you want real financial advice, go talk to like a financial advisor, someone with a license. Yeah. Cool. Moving on. Read the leaves. We have 2 mana spell, 4C2, draw a card. It's essentially a Rune of Sight, which is nice. Is that a Rune of Sight that he's holding? No, it's Teacup. Anyways, we do see a quick spike maybe 2 weeks ago, and it dropped off. Where did it spike to? So it was, wow, 26.85. I remember when this card was like $15. Or like, yeah, not too long ago it was $8, so that's pretty crazy. But now it's hovering around this $21.96 range. Only time will tell if these prices will hold. Oh, good old equivalent exchange. So this is our 3 mana spell. Obliterate 2 cards in your hand, pick one, unlock 2 mana locks, or draw 2 cards. Honestly, I really like this card still. It did spike up. Let's see, from $11 all the way to $23, which is nice. It's currently hovering at that $21.65 range. What do I think about this card? I actually think it's pretty good. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but in terms of functionality with what the card is actually trying to do, I actually think it's good for ramp decks, right? Because at any stage of the game in a ramp deck, you're going to want this card. So first off, it's one of the few spells in the game, ramp spells, that allows you to unlock multiple mana crystals in one turn, right? So that's big in a ramp deck because that saves you tempo pretty much, right? If I'm a ramp deck, I don't want to play a sip of elixir into next turn sip of elixir. I want to go sip of elixir into ramp as fast as possible, equivalent exchange. Even if I have to obliterate 2 cards in my hand, I can, if I'm running a ramp deck, I'll have plenty of dead cards, depending on that phase of the game, right? Those dead cards will either come in the form of early game, where you have some crazy high-statted creatures, like 6, 7, 8 mana cost creatures that you're not going to need anytime soon, right? So you can obliterate those cards. Or late game, where you're already ramped up, you don't need the extra mana crystals, and you just want to draw cards, right? So you can play equivalent exchange, pitch the dead ramp cards in your hand that you don't need anymore because you're already ramped, and then you can draw 2 fresh cards from your deck that you can probably play later on. So that's my spiel about equivalent exchange. I know a lot of people don't agree with this, but I'm going to double down on how I feel about the card, because at the end of the day, the functionality of this card is to save time for the ramp player, and this effectively does its job, right? And with ramp decks, like, you don't care about advantage. You care about getting access to playing your powerful cards faster. So the cost of discarding 2 cards that might not even be useful is pretty good for what the strategy tries to do. Anyways, that's my rant. Sorry about spending so much time on this card, but I really do feel like this is a very good card, and we'll see what happens in future ramp decks. But I'm looking forward to testing that out in the future as well. I love ramp decks personally. I think they're probably one of my favorite decks to play, and not just in like Gods Unchained, but also in Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. So yeah, anyways, that's my spiel. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Next card. Cool, we have Planetar Envoy. This is our 6 mana 5/6 Aether. Roar, if you're holding an Aether, select a creature from your opponent's void and add a copy to your hand. This is pretty decent. A little understated for a card that costs 6 mana or 7 turns to play. I would love for this to be a 6/6 or maybe a 7/6, but beggars can't be choosers. It is spiking right now. The cheapest you can find this at is $3.29, and it's spiking around this like $3 level, which is interesting. Cool. Next up, we have Form of Wisdom. This is your 2-mana spell. Draw a card. If it's a spell that costs 3 or less, reduce its cost to 0. Yeah, this card was pretty good when Dralamar was a thing. It's still probably going to be good when Dralamar is a thing, but for the most part, it's just so powerful. Like, if you can find a way to figure out what you're drawing, and you use a Form of Wisdom to hit either a Vow of Learning, a Cram, a Librarian's Prayer, what else? An Aether Snap. Oh my god, if you hit an Aether Snap, that's like free tendies. But anyways, that's honestly a pretty good card. So it's going to be interesting to see if this price range holds. It kind of just feels like an OTK card, to be honest, but you never really know. I've been experimenting with this card in Miracle Magic, and it's been pretty decent, honestly. Cool. So next up, we have Murdo's Daughter, and this is our only nature card for the Market Watch for this time around, but it's your 5-mana 2/2 Blitz, Roar, pick one. This creature gets 2/2, or another random friendly Amazon gets 4/3. It's pretty good effect for its stat line. It also has Blitz, which is kind of nice. We do see a tiny buy. Ooh, I don't know if that's a tiny buyout. 33 copies were bought in an average price of $11.99. So that maybe not be tiny, but the cheapest you can currently find this card is $16.04. Sick. All right. So War was also kind of boring this time around. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you what I think are underrated cards for the War set, or at least the War cards in general. Because, I mean, War, Nature, Deception, Death, I mean, unless you're talking about board wipe, hasn't been getting a lot of attention this meta. And that just means things are undiscovered. And when things are undiscovered, that provides a huge opportunity for people who are looking to invest in cards or possibly, try to trade these cards, right? Because all it takes is for one good player to discover one crazy cool deck idea, and those cards can skyrocket to the moon. Anyways, I digress. That's just how I think about it when I think about these cards. When you're buying into these NFTs, you want to kind of look where other players aren't looking, because that's where the opportunity would lie. Magic is a great example for this. Everyone's played Magic, so all of the cards are super inflated, and those prices are pretty much found, right? But with classes like War, Nature, Deception, classes that haven't gotten their spotlight in the meta yet, that's where the opportunity lies. Anyways, that's a little gem of knowledge that I wanted to drop. First underrated card that I think War has, which is kind of weird to say that this is underrated, but I think it's undervalued for sure. Magic Missile Launcher. This is your 4-mana 3/2 Blitz. Afterlife. Deal 2 damage to 2 random creatures. Heal your god for 4. Pretty good card. That's all I have to say. Relics with Blitz are very good because they offer immediate impact on board, and this card can single-handedly clear a field of aggro creatures, which is really nice. The current price you can find it at is $274, but I mean, it's been way over that in previous metagames, right? Some Magic Missile Launchers have hit $500. So it's all about how far you zoom out of the chart, really. But yeah, for the most part, very good card. I think it's super underpriced right now. And it's from a set that's super, no one buys this set. Either bots, that's crazy to me. Anyways, yeah, that's something I look at. Next up, we have Scythe of the Harvest. This is your 4-mana 4/2 with God Blitz. Give 1 strength to a random friendly creature. This card is super good in aggro, and it's super underpriced right now, in my opinion. Current price is $122.63, but I mean, again, you zoom out, you see how much these prices were when these cards were in favor in the meta, and you're kind of just oh yeah, these cards are actually super undervalued. This card peaked at like 380 something. I don't know. 300 at least. So yeah, just check that out if you guys are watching. Last but not least, for the war side of things, we have Odie, Valka's Herald. So 3 mana, 3/2, protected. Whenever this creature attacks your opponent's god, reduce a random highest mana cost creature in your hand by 1. If you follow the channel, you know how I feel about cards that reduce cost of cards. They're usually worth taking a look at, and Audi is no exception. Audi is a great card. It has protected, so it has a good chance of proccing its effect. And man, if you can hit something spicy like a Herdicus, an Aeneas, or something like that, man, you are in. You're quite possibly winning the game. Anyways, this card is good. It's also a Viking, so it has Viking synergy. Right now, the cheapest you can find this card at is $23.58. But we've seen this card hit levels of $40 before. In December, it hit like 50, which is kind of wild. But it has a chance of doing that again, depending on the new cards that come out in the new set. Or even just if people start like, if aggro war starts becoming like a thing again, right? Which it already is, but when it becomes like really dominant in the meta, it could be a thing. Cool. And last but not least, for our neutral cards, we have Echofawn, Atlantean Hydra. So this is your 9 mana 6/10. Blitz, Overkill, Protected, Twin Strike, Regen 6. What do I think about the card? I honestly think it's a good finisher. I mean, Polyhymnia is a thing, and there are other great 9 mana drops that are as good as well. It provides immediate impact on board, has Overkill, has Protected, which is nice. Also has Twin Strike. Wow, that's pretty nice. And it has Regen 6, so it heals after it attacks, which is pretty good value in my opinion. So yeah, it's a very decent 9-drop, and if I had to play it, and because it was the only card I had, I wouldn't be mad about it. So yeah, cheapest you can find it at is $3.10, but it peaked all the way to $6.81 today, so that's pretty interesting. Cool. With that being said, y'all, thanks for tuning in to this week's Market Watch. Shout out to, I guess, everyone really for supporting the channel. I think it means a lot that y'all still watch this. I started this journey maybe about in January. Yeah, it's almost been like a couple months. So if you've been watching this stuff, thank y'all for tuning in. If you want to support the channel further, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video and leave a comment below. Yeah, if you want to talk about anything regarding like any recent developments of the meta, or if I missed anything, please go ahead and point that out. Yeah, because I have blind spots too, and it's always good when we can share information together. Anyways, thank y'all again. Hope you have a great night and or morning or afternoon, depending on what time you watch it. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.